back. Here we are, round 4 of the NRL, and everything's going along. Boys, back together again.
Before we get into the footy, boys, how was your week?
Yeah, good.
Good.
How are we?
More things happening in the world now.
Yeah, Dano's copping a bit of flack. So Dano's recently got a missus, and now I heard he's dogging the boys straight away for the missus last night.
I saw
Yeah,
the
right,
boys.
let's clear this up real quick.
Okay, go for it, man.
I sent Walshy a message in the morning saying, I'll come over, mate, I'll watch the first game of footy with you, and then I've got dinner at home. He said, yeah, no worries, come around. So I went around and had a few beers, and then first game sort of finished. Mrs. come pick me up, and I went home. And then as I'm leaving, I'm getting flack because Jakey Morris was there as well, and they're both just into me, calling me a dog, blah, blah, blah. I get home, and within the half an hour, there's a post on Facebook, and I'm getting absolutely rinsed left, right, and centre from everyone. It's like, how is this a thing? I cleared my name early by texting you in the morning, and then I'm glad I did, because it turns out Walshy and Jakey and that just fucking got themselves written off, and they look like busted asses today anyway.
But is it also like, think about them when they first started their missus? What the fuck would have they done?
I didn't see Jack for 6 months. He was like indisposed the whole time.
Yeah.
I was like, all right.
Everyone know, like that honeymoon stage is where you do kind of, you're like, oh, I got to go see the girl, you know? And you've done it a bit later as a 37-year-old, but
yeah, righto, whatever.
No, I noticed a lot of people we knew commented on that post too.
Thanks,
Seemed to
righto.
reach far and wide with people.
Yeah,
we
people
knew.
don't mind getting on just to roast me. You post something positive and no one's there anyway.
No one cares about positivity.
Exactly. You
They
post
want to
something
bag
rinsing
something.
someone, it's on.
So, last week, I had that, went over to Cantoni's for his 41st birthday party. No, did I tell you on the pod how I left about 3 a.m? So me, Offerdale, and his missus, me and his missus was the ones not drinking too much, so she drove us home. But Cantoni came around today, and we were talking about it more because he was pretty blind. He was like, what happened when you left? And I go, all right, so when we left, there was 3 guys left. It was you, there was Pittman, and there was Michael, I forget he's a pommy, but he's a great bloke. And Pittman and Michael are just dancing, right? They're just dancing in like the kitchen. And I go to Cantoni, I go, mate, we got to leave. And he's like, how can you fucking leave me? Look what's happening here. Cantoni's sitting on the couch. There's 2 guys dancing with each other. Yeah. And then we're walking out the side, and you see Cantoni through the window, and he's going, what the fuck, bro? And I just shrugged and go, bye. And they just leave today.
It's one thing I've learned in life. When you're at a party and it ends up 2 dudes dancing in a kitchen, there's time to bail out unless that's your flavour. Okay, just saying.
It got to that point, they were like, oh, there's no girls here. Fuck it, we'll dance with each other.
Yeah, nice.
So, right, man, you want to introduce our guest, mate?
Well, another big guest. Great journeyman of the past, Steele Retchless, local boy from Valleys. How are you, Steele? Thanks for, and more importantly, one of our sponsors, somewhere here with Brick Lane. Brick Lane looking after us here on any given Monday, so we massively appreciate that. How you going, mate? Thanks for coming on board.
I'm great, righty. Thanks for having me along, boys. Good to be here.
No worries. How's your week been?
Yeah.
Pretty good. The business side of things going well. Coming out of COVID, got some pubs opening back up, which is good for all of us. I'm getting sick and tired of having to drink out of a can and not out of a nice frosty schooner glass. I don't know about you boys. I didn't get the opportunity to get to a pub this week, but next week definitely for sure.
It's funny when you see on Facebook some pubs like Elephant and Wheelbarrow and that Pig and Whistle and that in the city. Opportunities to come in to watch a footy, and you start looking at it, and they want to sting for you $50 per person or something to sit there for 4 hours, and you're going, I don't know what you get with this $55, but
so they sting you as a rental fee?
It's like a cover
yeah,
charge.
per person,
It's
yeah.
a booking fee, sort of booking fee.
Oh, okay.
So it's obviously they got limited numbers, so they're trying to make as much money out of each person as you can. But then again, if you're going to go in, do the right thing. Like I went to the Stafford Tab for lunch on Saturday with the old girl, and got a schooner finally. Thank God for that. But went in there and we both ordered big meals and put the topper on there. Wouldn't normally do. Get a couple of beers instead of just the one.
I went to the Stafford Tab with the old girl the week before as well.
I'm sure you did. Yeah, she told me about that.
Wow.
But yeah, no,
you're 100% right. Look,
go that little bit extra.
Go in, have a feed, have a few beers. A lot of these people have been struggling. They've been closed for months, and they've got a plethora of staff that they're trying to get back on deck as well. So not just turn up and have a water and watch a couple of races, get down to a few mates.
Yeah.
punch some beers in, have a feed. Yeah, let's get society back on track.
Who doesn't love 100 beers on a Saturday either?
I was telling the boys earlier, I went into it was our first mention without not knowing someone, so I went into a BWS. And the guy behind the counter, his name's Jack Forbes. Shout out to him. He started following us, but he said he's been watching, listening to every episode because he saw it through one of his mates' feeds. And then I was having a good chat to him, and because he just asked, he goes, "Oh, were you on a podcast recently?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" And he's like, "Well, I saw you do like a challenge." And I was like, "Oh yeah, I do it at my house. It's Right Man's Right Man's podcast. We do it here." And we get chatting, and I was like, "Yeah, but also BWS, go fuck yourself because you're not stocking Brick Lane." So they had on that with those side of things. Like, do you guys approach BWS and you'll get into there, or like?
Yeah, it's like done nationally. So BWS being Woolworths.
Oh yeah.
So we're not in with them, but we're in with Dan Murphy's.
Oh okay.
Who are the Dan Murphy's and then BWS, and then on the flip side, you've got First Choice and Liquorland. We're in with both of those. So it's all about ranging and getting at the right time when they're looking to range new beers and that sort of thing. But look, we're pretty widely available now through Brisbane, which is great, and even as far up as Mossman, you can find our beers around the traps. Yeah, so they're all going quite well. A few new beers landed this week, couple of sours that seem to been pretty popular in the few days. I've got a couple of, which was weird, a couple of reorders already. People got their stock on Thursday and people reordering it off me yesterday. So, yeah, it's good. The beers are going well. They've been really well received and just easy drinking beers. So that's what we love. Something that's smashable.
That's right.
Yeah, well, once we got that first case off you and Freddie started cracking them open, I thought, mate, I got to drive home. It's a Monday night.
And that's what I was saying. I was like, fucking pushing my luck with Steele because I keep asking him for more.
Happy to help out.
Once you get those supers, fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, watch the IPAs.
Yeah, well, I saw
that's an Uber. That's an Uber.
Yeah. Saturday podcast.
Black Sheep's fully stocked with them again. I saw him the Savi, and I saw the Supernovas were like sitting in front of just the lagers, and I was like, yeah, I know what they're doing.
They're knocking you out.
Yeah.
I'm in the process of trying to negotiate to get them sold at West Mitchie if we can work something out.
We'll help you out. We'll look after you with some pricing.
Nice. Hopefully we can get that done because
that'd be great.
It's a bloody good beer.
Yeah.
And then when we get like West playing, depending how this all goes when we get back to normality, if two West sides playing after us, you get a fair crowd down there. So should sell a few, which would be good.
Speaking of getting back to normality, right? What's your take on how we're going? Obviously, you get back to training next week.
Yeah, back to training.
What does that look like from coaching standpoint for us?
Well, the rules are at the moment. First off, it was you could only have 20 people at a facility, which would be ridiculous. That means that would enclose people training and coaches. They've eased that and they've made it 100. So with us, with two sides there in the seniors at Mitchie, we'd both be able to train on two groups of no more than 20, including the coaching staff. We'd be able to train on the same field, but at different ends. But in saying that, there's a lot of restrictions, like between training sessions, like when the younger sides and that kick off, there's got to be 15 minutes between each training session. You got to clean. They're meant to clean the toilets and so forth. In between, people can't hang around in groups. You can't have the old chin wag before or after training. You basically come and go. We're back training Thursday night. Kicking off at 6:45, finishing 7:30. In out. So when these restrictions eased, we're hoping we can train in bigger groups and just. You won't have to. The protocols won't be as tight, and at the moment, if we were to play a game anytime soon, which we wouldn't be, there's no contact, so we can't have any contact for a month.
Yeah.
So not even hitting shields or anything like that. So it's just going to have to be ball skills and running for the first month.
Sounds disgusting.
Still, are you coaching at the moment?
No. I haven't really had anything to do. I've been a spectator now for 10, 11 years. The
best time. Anytime you've got 1,000 things on during the week and looking at your phone to see if blokes are pulling out of games or whatever's happening, think, I could just go watch on Saturdays and only have to worry about this Saturday morning, at what time I need to be there.
Yeah.
But no. that's
No, it's the love for the game that gets you in it, right? That's what people ask me.
And you've got to. That's another thing you have to do. You have to do some sort of. I don't know if it's similar to a league safe course or any sort of safety course. Most people have at their work. The COVID court. You've got to be the COVID officer. So if, say, Christian was the COVID officer, he's meant to try and enforce us following the guidelines and that, which would be hard too if you've got no medical background. You're just asking a normal person who is not from that field, not those fields. At the moment, we wouldn't be allowed. You're not meant to even have spectators walk near the grounds and stuff while you're training. I don't know how you prevent people from doing that, but in the next few weeks, we are hoping this all eases. Because at a club like Mitchie and many others, if you haven't got people there to sell like alcohol to, food at the canteen and stuff like that, there's no money coming in. It's almost a waste of time.
Who was your junior club?
Valleys.
Yeah. Okay, so and Valleys, and you went into senior football from there, and then from there you went your first debut was Bronx.
From West to Broncos.
So Valleys, and then I had 2 years at West.
Yep.
And then to the Bronx after that.
And West at that point, that was the Brisbane competition. Yeah. Ah, sweet. Yeah. So Purtell Park.
Great park. Had 2 years there, but really 2 successful years. Won the comp in the first year there in '93, and then lost 94 grand final to Redcliffe.
Yeah,
which was
that's a fair effort for 2 seasons at one club.
My best mate Jared Kerr and I left Valleys and went to West, and West were in a pretty good run. They won 91 grand final, won the 92, and then so pretty good sort of era for West that in the 90s, from 91 right through to 90. When they get beat by Norse, was that 98?
98 when they were stuck with the Melbourne boys.
Yeah.
And Matt Geyer scored 3 tries.
Yeah. But Mitchie, talking about Mitchie, always a great club when I was playing juniors. They had a great, strong side. So when we had, it was like A division in your age group coming through. It was East, Valleys, West Mitchie, and North Aspley. Who had the strongest sort of teams. But they were our nemesis, Mitchie. They we win one game, lose one game. That always knock us out in the semis. So
Who was your debut against when you debuted for the Bronx?
Bronx was Penrith at ANZ.
Yeah.
And how did that go, Steele? Like we had Milesy on, and I asked him to say a similar question. When as you were playing, did you think, oh yeah, this is my because Milesy had a story. He said to us, he goes, I didn't think I'd get to that level of footy. I just love playing it. Did you see that as this is my calling? I'm going to go through these levels.
You always had a goal, obviously, to play first grade. Mine came at a later date. I got picked up at the Bronx as a 23-year-old.
Yeah.
So all the blokes I played in the junior rep sides with, they all got picked up. Jason Smiths, Danny Moore, those blokes when they were 17, 18. I just knew at some stage it had happened. I just had to keep working hard and I listened to the interview you had with Miles, and I'm the same as Miles. I was never a natural footballer. I had to work very hard, and I knew I had to work hard if I wanted to succeed.
Yeah.
So doing extra sessions and that sort of thing to just to get myself in the best physical shape I could be, and to be seen by these clubs coming through. So I think it's a life lesson for anyone, whether you're playing sport or work. If you want to attain a goal, you've got to just keep working at it. Don't let anyone tell you can't do it.
Yeah.
Because it will happen if you put the work in.
In transitioning from being a reserve grade player to then coming into top grade, what sort of different changes and what sort of challenges did that bring? Like for you personally, did you find anything harder, like anything that didn't feel comfortable about going into first grade, or did you sort of get in there and take it by the horns and sort of feel comfortable there, or was it still a bit surreal that you were there? And then again, moving on to Super League, did that also feel a bit different? Did you get comfortable instantly, or did you struggle to find your feet?
That was pre-Super League. He was ARL at the Crushers.
Yeah.
No, it was you go with Glamour Club. All these blokes you're moving into, Lazo, Renoff, Walters, Langer. But they just pull you aside, those guys, and say, mate, when you come into the side, we just need you to do this. Just do your job. You don't need to worry about what's going to happen 6 plays in advance, 3 or 4 plays in advance. Mate, Just do what you do in one of the things I said was do what you're doing in reserve grade. That's why you've got picked here.
Yep.
So I and that's with the good teams. And I look at the Storm, and it's a perfect example of them. You get these guys that Bellamy picks out that were going to leave another club, and they were never a big name.
Yep.
When they get there, just do your job.
Yes.
Let all the other guys around you, who are the superstars, do what they do.
Yeah.
You just do your job.
And also going 95 Bronx, you're full-time rugby league player, right? At
No.
95? No.
No.
Oh, okay.
I was so when I played in Australia, I was never full time.
Okay.
I worked.
Yeah.
So I would I'd get up in the morning, I'd go to work, and then I'd have to go to the Bronx, and we'd do training.
Yeah.
And then I'd have to go and do weights with the reserve grade guys after it.
Because that would fit the schedule. Is that?
Well, I had to fit in.
Yeah.
Had to fit everything in around that, and that was never fun when you get down there and get flogged get flogged, and then have to wait around and do a weight session after it with the other boys. But you just do what you do. As I said,
What were you doing
in.
for work?
I was working for an AMP insurance company,
Okay.
straight out of school, and then I worked that in both at the Bronx and at the Crushers as well.
Yeah.
Must have been a bit of a reality check going to the Crushers, because I've known a few mates who have been there over the years, and they just said it wasn't as organised or as established as other clubs. It was in its infancy, and then that 97 year was the last year they were around. They were running out of money, weren't they, or something?
Yeah, that's the year I got there, mate.
Yeah.
So basic what happened, right, it was 95, 96. They had all the big name guys there, a lot of guys who had come to the end of their careers. And when I went in 97, we'll jump back here in 96, I thought everything was going really well. Super League was coming in. If you're in the top 24, you were going to be on 100 and something thousand. I thought, this is great. I can give work away.
Yeah.
My wife was pregnant with our first child then, and I thought, this is perfect. So as it got probably just after halfway through the season, we got called in, and they said, boys, we just want to let you know that unfortunately with the salary cap for Super League, the amount of money we've got to spread out is only going to go to 18 blokes.
Okay.
So wow.
And again, look at the team. The game. There was a game on Fox the other night. It was a semi-final. I was lucky enough to play in.
Yeah.
We played Canberra.
Oh, I remember it.
And both sides had I think we had over half the Queensland Origin team.
Yeah.
And there was Origin and New Zealand internationals playing for Canberra. It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
So you knew the money wasn't going to go as far as it would. And so they sort of said, you're going to, we can't offer you that money. Got to sort of keep you on the same money you're on. And there was an opportunity. Kelvin Giles, who was our strength and conditioning coach in 95 at the Bronx, had gone to the Crushers for the 96 season. And he said, look, what's happening? What are you doing? I said, at this stage, I've got nothing. I'm a bit disappointed in what's happened here at the Bronx. I can stay here, but again, most likely play Reggie's all year again. So
Okay.
there was an opportunity to go to the Crushers in 97. And you can tell that there'd been a mass exodus, and a lot of the guys who turned up in 97 were just young blokes wanting to have a crack. I think we had Matty Toshak and Craig Wilson come up from North Sydney, and they were probably two of the most experienced blokes in the side.
Okay. Not going on to questions yet, but Mitch Paisley, guy that we have on regularly here, he had a good question to line up with the Crushers. He said, what was it like playing alongside Queensland legends like Gilmeister, and then being able to watch careers like Norton and Shavosky developed from that?
He'd retired by 97, yeah.
So the likes of Gillian, Honey and all these guys, they'd left.
Okay.
They left at the end of 96.
Okay.
So when I got there, as I said, I think the young blokes there were Clinton Tchaikovsky was there. Travis Norton had gone. I think he was up the Cowboys
Was
then.
Phil Lee still there then?
Phil Lee had gone
Back
Phil
to
Lee had swapped over. He'd gone back to the Bronx. And yeah, as I said, just a mob of young blokes. Mark Tukey was there. Just, as I said, just a bunch of good young blokes who wanted to have a crack. I'd had 11 first grade games in the NRL.
Yeah.
Clinton O'Brien was there, who left and went on to win a premiership with Newcastle.
Danny Nutley.
Danny Nutters was there, yeah. Good man Nuts, he was there. So look, and there were some good young blokes. We just didn't have that experience around us that we needed. Just a couple of good old heads to guide us around the park, and a good, probably probably if we'd have had a good, couple of good props, better props, because I ended up playing prop. A good, halfback and a really good attacking centre. I think we would have done a lot better. But as is with all things that aren't run well, it got wound up at the end of the year, and a lot of us actually ended up over in the UK and Super League over there, and then some of the other young blokes, filtered out into other NRL clubs.
And so from there, London Bronx,
Yep.
and that's like what, 6 years at the London Bronx, and that would be like your core of your professional career. Over there?
7 years over there was great. 202 first grade games over there, and great times over there.
Yeah,
I love the English style of footy, and I'm seeing you can just see like the English guys down there at Canberra now. There's that free-flowing footy. They love it. They love it. They thrive on it. And it's what the game's all about over there. It's not about defence over there. It's about scoring tries and putting on a show for your fans. So that's why I think the boys from Canberra are really adapting really well to this style of play. It's all off the cuff stuff. It's look up, eyes up, see what's in front of you. Don't play to structure.
That's definitely
a bit of freedom.
Yeah,
Good
losing a
style
bit
of
of block shape
Canberra.
out of
Yep.
the NRL
It's great, isn't it?
not a bad
good
thing.
st-
we
style
always talk about the block, how much we hate the block shape.
Yeah. You know what? Isn't it amazing, that block shape? It's nothing changes. There's been no evolution from that. That sort of came into the game, and from there, no one's really found any other way to attack around block shape for block shape.
Steele, remember as a kid they'd call it the scissors move or something like that, which was basically a block shape.
Yeah.
And then they just varied the name. And everyone you say to, do you know what a block shape is?
Yeah.
Like any new blokes who roll in, so mate, you know what a block shape is? And they'll look at you, and then they'll go, and then you'll get two blokes to walk through it. Oh yeah, we call that a whatever.
Yeah.
It's just everyone wants to play Melbourne Storm style football, because Melbourne control the middle so well and pick you apart and then hit you. But if you're doing it on slow play the balls or in the wet, you're just going sideways.
That's right.
But like watching Melbourne, I find Melbourne to just say Melbourne's running like Microsoft, like Windows 10 compared to a lot of the teams running DOS still. That's what I find, that the ability for them to to change and adapt. They're just like, all right, just like I was saying to Dano before this, they've watched this for a couple of weeks now, and now they'll start kicking into gear. And that's why I find the difference in Melbourne Storm.
It's just too, as Steele was saying, they've got enough older players, enough experienced players, mixed with enough youth and a great coach. So even the young players that are coming in, like a debutant last night, and a few of the younger fringe players, like you got Justin Olam in the centres and blokes like that who haven't played a lot of first grade but do their job and do it well because they got those old heads in the side, experienced players and a great coach. It's just a perfect formula for them, and it's great to see them blooding young players and getting them experience as they come through the system with these older blokes, which is one of the reasons why Melbourne have such a good system of filtering through blokes who just turn to pure gold just through effort, and just the onus is back on the player to do their job week in, week out, and they just find success through it, which is
You look
impressive.
at the way Cooper Cronk talks about footy, and he talks about meeting KPIs and things like that. And it spun me out at first because I've never heard blokes refer to it in footy terminology about you've got your KPIs. So they've got spots they want to get to, areas they want to kick to, kick chase, this and this. Keeping oppositions on exits to certain areas, things like that. They're very regimented. And with him, they had the perfect ability to a student of the game who can play the structure to a T, but can ad lib. Are they slipping from this mantle a bit? Yeah, because Jerome Hughes is a different style of half, but with the way they control the ground and that, and like you're saying about effort areas, Dano, like working from marker, everyone most of the time knows their defensive assignments. If you're missing a few tackles in a week, if you do it 2 weeks in a row, he'll brush you.
Yeah.
Bellamy, the ultimate student of the game. I remember hearing him talk on a podcast once how they said how Bellamy, they were looking who they were playing. I think it might have been Manly, and they did the video session. Then just then he goes, "Oh, hang on a sec. I'll just show you this. They did this move once 6 weeks ago, and it's not something that was on highlights. This was something that you had to watch their last 6 games in depth to learn stuff about and things like that. And you can see, and they break down exactly what blokes' habits are and that, and they'll work and turn them against you. What side you like to run to. Young blokes, they'll test you out effort upon efforts at marker or at A or B.
That's again testament to the coaching abilities and that of Bellyache, and just making sure everyone knows their job again. Like, and if you've got goals you got to meet, like saying to each winger, I need you to have 5 scoots in a half, or I need you to get in and get some runs off the forwards, or the forwards, and I expect you to be having, if you got a 20-minute stint, I need you to handle the ball this many times, and your halves. It just makes it completely easy. Everyone knows their job. No one's lost. And you're just out there, you say, oh, well, I haven't touched the ball in 2 sets, I better get a hit up. You put your hand up, you have a go. And then in defence, as Roddy said, they're seamless because everyone knows their assignment. They know what the person in front of them is doing, because Bellyache's gone through and said, this bloke, he's going to catch it and skip right, and he's going to try a short ball. So just get up and jam him. And it just makes it just so easy for the players. And it's paid dividends for them over the years, considering how much success they've had. So.
And you got to and they find players to buy into that system, like you're saying, Steele.
Yep.
Like they see someone and they see what his strengths are. Like, who was it? What was it? Lowe. Ben Lowe's older brother.
Jamin.
Jamin Lowe. He turned him down the first time he rang. Like, he rang him, he was just going to go work in the mines and play up there in the Mackay comp. And then he said, ended up folding and saying, I'll come back for another year. They win the comp in 2012, and then he retires to, like working a mine and play footy at Mackay, making money on the side, like things like that. He identified Jamin Lowe being the sort of bloke he could use, and he doesn't normally. They won't handle liability. They had Chris Walker for a while there in 2006, and he was only like he was on the fringe. So if someone was out like Slater or someone, Walker would play this and that. Probably played like 8 or 9 games. 6 weeks to go, like he was playing up too much off the field, became a distraction, like with his party life. So they just, there's a door.
Yeah. Still with the London Broncos, the time you were there, it was like, was it they were really trying to build that brand up? Was Richard Branson? He was throwing money into it, and was it they're trying to actually promote it as like the premier sport in that area at that time? Is that what the idea was, or
Branson came on board in '96?
Yeah,
and so he was sponsoring while I was there. He sponsored in '99. We made the Challenge Cup final.
Yeah,
he walked us out on the field, and then in 2000 he I think it was 2000. That's when he cut ties with the club, but you're always on a hiding to nothing. Unfortunately, in London, you've got rugby, you've got soccer, and then you've got divisions 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you've got rugby, and then you've got league. Mm-hmm. I thought we would have done well. A lot of expats live there, both Kiwis and Aussies. So we'd advertise in it was a free magazine that used to be on the tube and that all the time. We'd advertise when we were playing that, but just never seemed to pick up. I think the biggest crowd we played in front of was Wigan.
Yeah.
When we were playing at Harlequins, it was 8,500 people.
All right.
Other than that, most of the time it was 2,000-3,000 playing in front of in London.
Yeah, because it's all
different.
up north.
It's all everything's in the north.
Yeah.
When Sheffield Eagles were playing in the comp, they were the closest city to us. Otherwise, the game was developed in the north, and that's where its stronghold is, in the north.
Yeah,
They've done a lot. Look, over the years, and now there's very minimal Aussies playing for London Broncos. There's a lot of homegrown guys and London-based guys playing in there now. So it's good to see. It had to happen. You can't rely on having imports. When I first got there, we didn't have any limit on how many overseas players we could have. All the other Super League clubs, it was 5.
Yeah.
5 imports is all you could have. Because we didn't have a junior development and a junior base, we had an exemption from it. So it's good to see that finally, if you're going to get anywhere, you can't rely on having imports coming over. You've got to grow the game from
That's
the
right,
grassroots, and that's what they're starting to do.
Oh, that's
A
good.
bloke we know, Mark Offerdale, played there for a while.
Yes.
And I think he put the game back about 10 years,
Saucy.
and
Yeah.
probably got deported. And I'm surprised. Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
I had the pleasure of coaching Sauce when I was at East, so he's a good man, Sauce.
Yeah.
Landed on his ass.
Oh,
Like under
So were
Winnie.
you
Yeah.
were you cup coach when he was there, or?
I was assistant when
Yeah,
he was
yeah.
there, yeah.
Oh, okay. Who was the head?
So in the first, I think that might have been the year Darren Smith was.
Yes.
Oh, right.
And then
Yeah.
he
Got
left. He got moved on. And then Jason Gainey, who was the
Yeah.
reserve grade coach,
Yep.
who had a lot of
He's a
success
Beenleigh
through.
BRL coach
Yeah, that's
now.
him. Yeah.
Yep. He'd
Very
been-
good coach. Very, very knowledgeable. Very
Yeah.
good man. Great mate of mine.
And who come in after him? McCarthy. McCarthy?
Yes, I think he did. And,
And
then Scott Sipple.
Yep.
Oh, then Trigger.
Trig was McCarthy's assistant, and then Sipple come in after Trig moved on to Sunny Coast.
Yeah.
So in the Super League now, Steele, how many guys have beaten your 66 tackle record?
Jeez, that was a fair effort.
Yeah.
I think it's a young
Just
guy.
the one?
I think there's a young
Yeah, I
guy
think
from
it's just the
one
one.
of the teams up north.
Yeah.
He did it earlier.
Oh, the kid from Wigan?
Yes,
Yeah.
70 something.
72 tackles.
Yeah.
What
72.
what team was that against that you did that?
Bradford.
Okay.
Yeah.
The
Did you
Bulls.
notice that you'd done it once you walked off the field?
I was shattered. I was
Yeah,
shattered.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
was shattered.
Was-
Yeah, I was shattered.
Was that when Bradford had their stars? Like
Yeah.
the Paul brothers,
Yep.
Vanganar, Daniel Gartner was there for a while.
Fuck, you
Holy
would've
shit.
been- you would've been
It was.
sore.
It was my. Trying to think when it was. Was it my first year there or second year when it happened? But yeah, it was on. They did it on the road part of the season.
Yeah.
Where I think we played them up in Scotland, and at the end of the game, I was shattered. I just come in and just lay on the ground. I couldn't believe it, and then we went down to a training camp at Portsmouth at the Navy base.
Yeah.
And we were that was 2 days later. We were training, and someone said, "Oh, do you know you did 66 tackles in the game?" I said, "Oh, I didn't know. No one had. We hadn't got any stats back, but
Yeah.
Yeah, I can
Yeah.
feel it still.
Yeah.
now.
Who was
Yeah.
coaching at the time in that game? Like that season?
Tony Curry.
Okay.
Tony Curry
And-
was still the coach.
And did he
PC.
mention it to you? Was he
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh,
yeah,
okay,
yeah,
sweet.
Yeah. It's, but these things you don't plan for them to happen. You just
No.
you just seem to be in the right spot at the right time to. If you're going to make that many tackles, I know
Yeah.
they've credited Cam Smith for doing something like that before in an Origin or
Yeah.
club match. You just don't know. You
Yeah.
just seem when you're in the
In the
traffic and
game.
you're caught
Yeah.
in there. And again, you've got to play
But-
80 minutes to be able
Yeah.
to make that many
Yeah.
tackles.
You're-
As a sorry, you
Oh,
go
you're an
Dano.
80-minute back row for the majority of your career at London.
Yeah.
Or did you
I
fluctuate
was
a bit?
going to say, if you're making 66 and you didn't play 80, holy
Yeah.
shit.
Most of the time, it was in the back row.
Yeah.
In my last couple of years, I played a little bit of front row as well. Smallest front rower in the world.
But is that what you kind of gravitated towards? Like you just liked being in the grind? You just fucking love
Yeah.
getting in the grind? And
I remember in 2000, John Money was coaching us. He was going to leave Wigan and go home, and Tony Ray, who was our coach at the time, talked him out. At the end of '99, he was going home. Tony Ray talked him out of it. He said, "Come down and coach us." And Johnny's got me out wide, running, as a wide back rower. And
Yeah.
I just said, "Mate, this isn't my go. I'm not my game. I'm the middle player, mate. I don't have the speed to be out here. I'm happy to defend out here, but I'm not an edge runner, mate. I want to get in and just bury my head into the hard work in the middle. That's not my go." And he was a good man, John, but he had some, he'd get us there before a game and he'd play a game, he'd put on a video of a Wigan game, and he'd be going, "Now, Steele, see what Dennis Betts is doing out here?"
Yeah.
And I'm just going,
Have you
"Yeah, I'm
se-
not Dennis Betts, mate.
Yeah, have you se-
Not an English international, buddy.
Yeah.
I'm just a bloke
Betts
who's
was-
having a crack."
Betts was a wide running back rower too, and you're going,
Mate.
mate, that's not my go.
And Righty, he'd be saying this to other blokes or the halfback. "Now, see what Sean Edwards is doing." And we're just going, "Yeah, okay." So I didn't really buy into that philosophy of how that worked, but yeah, look,
yeah.
it was a good 7 years over there. I learned a lot. played with a lot of good players.
Yeah, and at that time your missus was over there with you.
Yeah. Move the family over Hollis Bolus. We had my son was had just turned 1 when we left to live over there, and then my younger son, we had him over there, and then my daughter was born over here. We were back doing some warm weather training down in Gosford. So good 7 years. You know, I'm just thinking now, we were talking about the Titans before we jumped on air, and a good mate of mine's down there as assistant coach, Jimmy Dimmick. I believe he should be given a go soon. He's great footy mind. Yeah. Very, very clever man and a good player. Who else? Richie Barnett, ex Roosters, Cronulla and New Zealand International was over there. Johnny Timu. Grant Young, a good mate of mine, played for the Crushers and the Warriors. Jason Hetherington. So there are a few good Aussies with experience came through and went. But unfortunately, in the 7 years, the highlights were the 99 Challenge Cup final. We got a toweling up by Leeds, unfortunately. And then the last year, 2004, we scraped into 6th position. Yep. Got knocked out by St Helens at Knowsley Road. So...
So you had some great memories from that. Who was the best football player you played with there? Aussie or English?
In Atlanta was definitely Jim Dimmick.
Yep.
He just could read stuff, and he's just natural strength, and he had all the skills. He could kick, he could pass, he could run the ball. He was great. He's just a great person to have around the club. He brought everyone together. Who else? Richie Barnett was a freak. In broken play, there was him in full flight. There was nothing like it. Another young fella who did really well when we were there. I don't know if you guys remember him from Parramatta, a young halfback called Dennis Moran.
Yeah, Indigenous guy.
Yeah, champion player. He come over there and just killed it. He was a leading try scorer of the competition there one year. He ended up, I think it was, so I left at the end of 04. I think he hung around the end of 05, and then he went to Wigan, had a couple of years up in Wigan. But yeah, on his day, Dennis could turn a match. He was one of those halfbacks who could do everything. He would hit like a front rower.
Yeah.
Kick 40-20s, chip and chase, just mercurial little player. He was great.
He's only stopped playing country footy recently.
Yes.
Was floating all around New South Wales playing for different places.
Yeah, I think he's down Parks Way.
Yeah,
and
was still playing rep footy inside and playing at knockouts and stuff and starring.
So I reckon he'd have to be a few years. I reckon he'd be 44, Dennis. Yeah, he'd have to be 44 at least.
Steele, moving away from footy, talk to me about how you got into Brick Lane.
Sure. So when I came back from London, I'll go back a little bit. I was looking for a job, and I didn't want to get back into the insurance side of things. So had a word I got my brother-in-law to start asking around a few clubs in Brizzy if they were looking for anyone, and ended up getting on to Trevor Gilmeister. And said, look, Steele's looking for a job if you can get him something. And at that stage, Gilly was coaching up at Ipswich. Yep. That's a fair hike up from Bridgman down. So I said, look, mate, I just want to get into something, but I don't want to. I want to do repping.
It was Jono up there, obviously.
Jono was up there, yeah. That's where I know Jono from.
Yeah.
And I just want to get into something where I'm out talking to people. Because when I was in London, I did a lot of school visits and talking to kids, and I really enjoyed that. I didn't want to go back and sit behind a desk. So Gilly said, look, I'll see what I can do. So I'm fortunate enough, he got me into Yalumba Wines. Yeah. And the guys had a punt on me there. So I started work there. And then 2 years ago, an opportunity come up with Brick Lane. They were looking to put someone on. They had a guy in Brisbane, but they were looking for someone who had more... was more well known in the trade with publicans and bottle shops and that sort of thing. And yeah, we had a meeting, and 2 weeks later I'd agreed to go jump on board with Brick Lane. So Melbourne-based breweries, tough in Queensland. There's some really good breweries up here. Especially on the coast when you're talking independent craft, your Stone and Woods, your Bolters, your Burley Brewing and that sort of thing. But we're holding our own and really enjoying it. It's
when
good.
You also see there's so fucking many now. Like I look at, especially when
700 and probably 720 now.
But a lot of those like the microbreweries and the craft beer, is that more of a thing of where you're like, they'll be around for about a month and then they'll probably disappear? You know, like some of those.
There's a lot of small time guys, and they rely on a lot of online sales, and they might have a tap room somewhere at the brewery, and they rely on people coming in. Whether they'll have any longevity in their future with getting into bottle shops and that sort of thing, some of them don't care. They're just a few mates. They want to make some beers. They want to share it for people coming into their little bar areas and having it. There's probably no real goals to go any further grow it any further. Whereas we certainly are. What we started off and where we're building to is to be one of the most respected independent beer brands in the country. Yeah, and we're lucky we've got a good team around us. We've got some obviously well-known investors who've got behind the brand, and that always helps. You know. Yeah.
And some bloody good beer too, I might add.
Appreciate it, boys.
And it's so funny, man. Like quick. I was telling Steele the other day, when Cantoni had his 40th, and you must have given him like 10 cartons because all the eskies and stuff. And I walk in, I've never heard of Brick Lane because it was like new up in Brisbane, I think, at that time. Yep. And I was like, Cantoni, is this party fucking sponsored or what? And he goes, yeah, we've got the yellows and we got the blues, so go nuts.
I said, I'll look after you. He said, I can't give it to you all for free. He said, no, don't expect it all for free. But no, he look, I think the beers are easy drinking beers, and that's what we want. We've got some different beers that, you know, tend to lead towards the more crafties, but like the lagers that we're drinking tonight and the mid-strength I'm drinking, it's just real sessionable beers. Anyone can pick it up. Yeah. And that's why I don't like this, craft. We're an independent brewer who make good easy drinking beers. Yeah.
I agree. And there's also, you've got enough variation too. Like, you got the sours and stuff also you do that. A lot of people get into that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
but for me,
I love the sours, man.
For me, I just like this base lager is perfect for me. It's so good. Just easy drinking beer, as you said, and it's just, sit there, you could sip it all night, you'd have a yarn over it. I reckon you could also throw a few back and get pissed if you really had to.
If you had a crack.
No,
you're right, Dan. It is. We get really good feedback all the time. And the lagers, especially if we do a festival or something and there's no other beers on, blokes who drink Northern, they pick that up and go, that's a pretty good beer.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
So you want to appeal to a wide variety of the market. You don't want to pigeonhole yourself in one thing, mate.
Yeah. So so after the Bronx, London, you come back and you just dabble in the Queensland Cup just to finish off your career.
Yep.
Did you go? You finished off with Ipswich and then Easts.
Correct.
And then finished with East, and that's how you know Cants.
Yes. So 2005 Ipswich.
Yep. And is that because I've not been a part of Ipswich Club? Righty does go up there and watch a few games, and it seems like such a good culture.
Great club.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed my time up there. Again, one of the things I always said to myself when I came back from having the opportunity to play in the NRL and then in Super League is that I want to go back into local footy and give back. Because I always would have remembered when I was coming through and just having. Thanks, mate. That opportunity to learn from older blokes, and when I went up to Ipswich, it was perfect. They Danny Coburn was there, who was a great servant for the club and a great servant in the Q Cup. Ricky Bird was still playing up there, but then there was a lot of young blokes as well. So, to pass on a little bit of your knowledge that you learn along the way, I think is invaluable. I would have loved to go on back to West, but unfortunately they sort of folded at that stage. So it was.
And they still hadn't levelled out that field.
No. And then so 2006, I got a call from Michael Booth, who was coaching at East, and said, we got a spot here. Do you want to come along and have a run? I said, yeah. Still happy to come along and throw the body around a little bit more. So that was 2006. Got knocked out by Reddy in the semi-final, and they went on to play
Toowoomba and beat them.
And beat them. Yeah.
Yep.
They had a good side.
Upset.
Nicky Roberts
Got beat.
Roberts cut us up.
Toowoomba.
at the end.
How much longer were Toowoomba in the comp after that?
That was their last year in the comp. They won the
Okay.
comp, and then the Broncos sent their players to Aspley for a year.
Yeah.
They had a Q Cup side for a year. Then they split them up everywhere.
Yeah.
That year they won at Redcliffe. Toowoomba beat them by 50 in the prelim,
Yeah.
and they beat them by about 3 tries in the grand final at Suncorp. Had Mark Shipway playing. Shipway back row, he played at the Cowboys at Manly. Absolute shot machine. He
Yeah.
could whack.
Yeah.
I just remember him shortening a few of them up.
It's hard to imagine a side that wins a comp and then continues to fold after
Yeah,
the
I
season. Like it's rare you usually hear about a side collecting their third spoon in a row and then
Yeah, that's right.
going on to fold. But I don't know. I suppose with the way the world works and players coming here and there and money sort of things.
Yeah.
it's a
So,
strange old
Steele,
world.
you finish up with Cairns.
Yes.
And I don't know what timeline the questions are, and I don't know how much you can answer him. I'm not sure.
I'll do
but
my best.
Yeah, but he writes so, and because he came over today, he's got a new. He bought a new. He's got a bull Arab, little puppy bull Arab. Brought him around to show my freaking dying dogs. But he said first of all, he goes ask him about Martin
Fire.
Martin Fire, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Is that the winger? Was it?
Jarrett's,
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah. He just said asking about him because of the athlete and how
Oh.
much of a following he had over there, and
Probably when I got there, it was coming towards the end of Martin's career.
yeah,
Scored a cracking try in the Challenge Cup final. We lost to Leeds. And then I think he left. So that was 99. He left at the end of 99. And then I think it was one season he had at Salford and then he pulled the pin. But
Yeah.
in his day, I mean, if people haven't seen him, get on
Yeah.
YouTube and
okay.
he is a freak.
Because he said he was like one of the most recognisable players in that era. Yeah.
Started at Widnes and then I think Wigan paid at that stage the biggest transfer fee ever for a player.
Yeah.
Scored 10 tries in one game.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
he's
Challenge
and
Cup
when
game,
mate,
yeah.
you show him half an inch and he was gone. Mate. He was
Yeah.
an absolute freak of a player. Lovely bloke too. He's he's doing a bit of DJing on the side now.
Oh,
Over in
really?
Ibiza every now and then. I follow him on the socials, mate. But yeah, that was one of those. So had the luxury of playing alongside him and then Sean Edwards as well, who was another massive name in English football.
Yeah,
Rugby league, I should say.
Yeah, and then he goes on. He's saying playing with Liam Botham and meeting the great English cricketer Ian Botham.
Yeah, had that. So sometimes rugby league affords you some good luxuries.
So this is embarrassing probably for me because I didn't know who the fuck Cantoni was talking about when he mentioned that name, and he goes, he's one of the greatest cricketers. Like the
Yeah, that's
Ian
true.
Botham.
yeah.
So Ian Botham's son Liam was playing rugby at Leeds Tykes, and then he was having a bit of a stint with the Rhinos and wasn't getting a run, so they put him on loan with us, and it was during the Ashes. And so Liam's gone, Dad's said, if a couple of you guys want to come, he can get us in.
Yeah.
So we go in and, mate, we just go straight into the commentary box. Viv Richards, Whispering Death, Michael Holding.
Yeah.
Then you got David Gower and you've got Ian Botham. We're just sitting there and they go, how you going, boys? What's going on? And we're just sitting up the back of the commentary box watching them commentate. Got the best seat in the
We had
house.
stars in
Yeah.
your eyes,
Mate,
for
it was
sure.
so good. And Viv Richards was one of the best blokes I've ever met, Viv. He was a champion.
yeah.
And I'll tell you a quick story to digress. So meet Viv, chatting to him. He loved his rugby league. He said, I wish I could have played rugby league. I said, I reckon you would have gone all right too, Viv.
Yeah, big
At the
unit.
rugby league, yeah. It would have made a good stocky little 5'8" or halfback, I reckon.
Yeah.
I'm going to say 10 years ago, when I was working at Yalumba, I was up in Toowoomba at the Spotted Cow and they were having a sportsman's lunch. And Viv Richards and Rodney Hogg were the guest speakers.
Jesus.
So they had a dinner on the Thursday night with those two speaking, sold out, and then they did a lunch on Friday. So I'm sitting at the bar having a couple of beers, and I could see Viv, people all around him talking to that. Anyway, the next day I get to sit at my table. Viv sits next to me and he goes, "Hey man, I remember you from England." I said, "What?" He goes, "You're Liam's friend. You played at London." I said, "Geez, you've got a good memory."
Yeah.
So I sat there just shooting the breeze with him, smashing down Coronas, talking about. But You know, it's funny. All these people coming up to Viv, oh, can you sign my bat?
Yeah.
Sign the bat. And this is what I love. And Jimmy Dimmick that used to do this too. What's your name? Oh, no, can you just sign it? No. Got to personalise it
Oh,
for all
really?
these people, you know, that they go out and then they try and sell it on
Yeah.
eBay and all these memorabilia sites.
Yeah.
And he goes, fuck them. I don't ever sign their name.
Oh, yeah.
I always put their name on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he said, otherwise they're dodgy.
Oh, so because they were just
Well,
on
he
selling.
just signs Viv,
getcha.
and then
Yeah.
they just go, Viv Richards signed bat,
Yeah.
Yeah.
$600-700 bucks,
Yeah.
try and flog it
true.
off that way. So always personalised stuff. And Jimmy did the same. He'd always go, what's your name, mate? And they'd go, oh, why? And he goes, so put your name on the card. He said, always personalised. There's people that, you know,
Just
all
flog it
those
off.
autograph hunters and that.
Would
that's
there
flog
be
it off
some
for
people
money.
that just walk away when he said that? Like if he said, I'll put your name on it.
No, they were, yeah,
Oh, okay.
they'd come round.
Yeah.
So he was really a league fan, Viv Richards.
It's pretty.
How good's that?
Massive right in. I reckon, like I
That's
said,
unreal.
I reckon as the type of sportsman he was and who he was, I reckon he would have, whatever he put his mind to or tried, he would have succeeded.
He was definitely
Yeah.
professional, that's
Yeah.
for sure. So it's
But-
pretty astounding that he remembered who you were.
I could,
especially a bloke with
I-
as high a caliber as he is.
as
in-
him, who
in
the people he
sporting
would
world.
meet, and that's what blew me away. He just must be one of those guys who has a good memory.
Mm.
And then we just, and when we were sitting there having a few beers, he's saying, "Oh yeah, I was watching the NRL on my TV back in the hotel room this morning."
You're just
So he's a
chewing the
massive
fat
fan
for
of
a
it.
while. That's
Massive
sweet.
fan of it.
That's
That's
awesome.
a great story. Chewing the fat with
Yeah.
Big
Richards.
Viv.
Is so I got no idea about this one still, but he goes, right, this is Cantoni still. So he goes, what is Dibley and who is Dibley? Question mark.
Yes, you'll have to. I don't know. He used to call me Dibley. Hey, Dibley, Dibley this, Dibley that. I don't know where it come from, mate. So
Yeah.
that's the short answer to that
Oh,
one.
okay.
Mate, if he's listening, if you're listening and watching Chop, you'll have
Well,
to,
yeah, I told him
we'll have to
because
talk about
this
it.
will drop tomorrow,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
but then he
for
said he's
sure.
definitely gonna. And then he says, he goes, he wants to know the story about how Russell Bowden used to trick girls into going upstairs.
Oh, okay. So Russell Bowden was another absolute genius bloke that I got to play with. I met Rusty when I first lobbed up at the Broncos in '95, and he was sort of a bit on the out. He was, as all young blokes who come through there, he tended to like to have a drink and
Yeah.
party a little bit too much, and he got on Wayne's bad books and ended up heading over to London in '96, which is probably the best thing through his career. He had really good couple of years over there, come back, played for the Storm and played Origin and won
Yeah.
a comp. So it's funny how things work. But Rusty used to like going out and picking up the larger women in the crowd and trying to squat them.
Yep.
So yeah, with a lure that if they let him do it, he'd buy him drinks all night. So
Yeah.
it was all about the biggest and baddest you could pick out in the room. So
Yeah. But yeah, Cantoni was saying that he would say that, like, oh, you want to go upstairs with it, like, to the room, and
Yeah.
they go, yeah, and then he just chuck him on his shoulder and start doing squats.
no, just scoop him up in one foul swoop, squat him a couple of times, put him down, then walk away.
Oh,
And then he'd
God.
hope that his actions would lead to more actions. Real going upstairs later on. He was a character, but he really
Who's
was
got
Rusty.
the confidence to do that? You
Yeah, I know.
You get slapped that many times.
know, I
Surely.
know.
Fuck.
And then Cantoni's
gold.
last one is, he goes, who has the biggest jaw in rugby league, and why was it Marcus the Head Jensen?
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, he's hands down. Jeno had the biggest jaw. It got
Yeah.
broken about
So is
5
he-
or 6 times, I
he's-
think.
is-
Yeah. I think Jeno started his career when Bundy were in the Q Cup.
Yeah.
Oh,
He was
yeah.
a Bundy boy, and then he came down. I played with him at Ipswich, and then at East. Yeah, massive jaw. I think he got it broken about 5 or 6 times.
Definitely wouldn't tickle.
No.
We'll go. Do you want to we keep throwing questions because we got
Yeah.
this a few?
May
Yeah.
as well.
So the next one is from Baz Randall. He says, absolute beast of a player. That's just a shout out for you still. And then he goes, what is your best memory playing for the USA? And then what do you think needs to change for rugby league to grow in London, southern UK?
So first run for the US was down in Orlando
Yeah.
at the Disneyland down there. We had a game against the English team. Were out there for some warm weather training before World Cup started. Probably not one of the highlights. I think we lost about 110-0, but still to get out there and see the faces of the American guys playing in the team, playing against, these legends from, the Super League in England was fantastic. And by the way, I think out of our squad of 20, 6 blokes were like myself, we played in Super League. The rest were homegrown.
Yes. Yeah.
Who was your coach then?
Who was it? Shane Millard,
Millard.
who passed away,
Yep.
unfortunately. Yeah. Daryl Millard's, who used to play with Canterbury's dad. He was a good man.
The centre, yep.
Yeah, he was a good man, Shane. Unfortunately, passed away. And then later on that year, we had the Emerging Nations, which I think that was the first year they ever did it. So there was the proper World Cup comp going on, and then there was a second tier comp going on.
Yeah.
So there was USA, Canada, Japan, Morocco, at Italy, and the BALA, the British Amateur Rugby League.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Set up.
So, it was really, really good. It was. And it just gives those smaller nations a chance to feel part of it, even though we never played any like curtain raisers at any of the main games.
Yeah.
It just, I think they should look at doing that. They want to build
They
the
did
sport
one in
up.
Sydney a couple of years ago. The thing is now too, it's like with the organisation of it. You know how no one wants to organise things, or they can't agree
too
on
hard.
things. It all becomes a too hard basket. Like I'm coaching Uruguay, and like that'd be the thing that I reckon we'd have to aim for.
You're coaching director, aren't you? Yeah.
What do they call it now? Like instead of head coach,
Yeah.
head of football.
Head of football, yeah.
Yeah, it's just a title.
That encompasses a lot of positions, right?
Yeah.
Say that.
Oh, it's it.
Roddy's got them all
Yeah.
covered.
Yeah.
When I took the job, one of the boys from Mitchie was playing. He teased me. He sends me a text on a Tuesday. They were playing an international up here. The coach who they had broke it to him that day or something. He couldn't make it from Sydney. We had no training sessions. They'd played an international a few weeks before. I had to take strap and tape that we had from Mitchie, water bottles we had from Mitchie, tee up a bunch of my mates to run the water. It was a good time. But no, look, it's a great experience. I just hope we get to play in one of those emerging nation World Cups.
I think they're good, and if it can be done, it should be done.
Yeah,
How did
most
you go in
definitely.
that? You had a couple of wins in that?
We did, mate. We beat Canada.
Yep.
We beat Morocco, and then we beat someone else. So we made the semi, and we played Italy. And so Italy had all the blokes playing for Italy
Yeah.
were playing for like the second Jim Beam Cup.
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
All
And
playing
filthy.
decently.
So just-
Jason Buglieri was
Buggers.
Bugs
Buggers.
played for him. There were a couple of other brothers that played at Parramatta.
The Capavilla brothers.
Capavilla brothers, that's them. They were in the side as well.
I was just about to say that right.
And
I knew you were.
and it's just we got to that stage, but in the end, the British Amateur Rugby League ended up beating them. I thought they were a shoe-in. I thought they were a shoe-in Italy, but yeah, they got beat by Bala. So I think that was it. Yeah, they were the 4 games.
How did you qualify for that, mate? Like,
Yep,
Freddie qualifies through his dad.
Yep.
Like,
my grandfather.
yeah, nice.
And my mum.
That's how Milesy qualified too.
And your
his
mum was born
grandfather.
there too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. That's a fairly strong connection.
So my grandfather
Played
was
baseball,
in.
didn't he?
Yeah. He was in the U.S. Air Force.
Oh, really?
And how he met my grandmother, he got shot. He got some shrapnel in the leg. He was a gunner in one of in the plane, and so this happened so he got flown to a hospital in Darwin, where my grandmother was a nurse, and they met there.
There's so many stories like
Yeah.
that, through war
Yeah.
of the
Yep. And so she went back to live with him over there. Right, he was from Iowa, so they moved back
Iowa,
there. He was in the army
farm
base there,
territory, yeah,
big
nice.
farm territory. And mate, he was a gun baseball. He was just a little bloke, but he was quick. And so they moved back out here with mum when mum was 2. She was born in Washington DC, and then my grandfather, he coached both Queensland and Australia in baseball for about 5 or 6 years.
yeah.
And that's where my love of baseball comes from. You know, when I was little and growing
Yeah,
up,
I
he
played
used to
baseball
take
for
us to the
16
games
years. Yeah.
all the time. So yeah, that's where it came through. I'm very, very
Nice.
proud, mate. You know, we always, growing up as a young bloke playing footy, you want to play for Australia, obviously, and
Yeah.
that was never going to happen for me. It was just great to represent the country on Mum's behalf and his behalf. So,
Yeah.
really
It's fun.
good.
It's funny. So you grew up playing baseball too, Sil?
Yeah,
So-
just muck around
but
stuff,
yeah,
mate.
I was saying like just club, but it's funny because like as an Aussie and American, all my mates would be like, "What are you doing in the off season?" I'm like, "Oh, I got baseball season." And they'd be playing their cricket and shit, and they're like,
Yep.
"What the fuck are you playing, bro?" You know, I'm like, "Yeah, I got baseball." You know,
Yeah. No, I'm one of the things I want to do, you know, in the next few years is travel over there, and I don't think any of his family's still alive over there, but just go and check out where he grew up and that
Yeah.
part of the world over there. Here, it's really nice.
Yeah.
Over there in Iowa.
Oh yeah, yeah,
And there's some great stories with the league connection, like you were saying, like things like that where you can trace things back through heritage, and people go, "Oh, you've got all these blokes who aren't even American playing," but you need that connection. If you make the qualification, like you're looking at rugby blokes bag league. I don't know why those toffee nose punses, but you look at it. You look at Japan. Japan will have Samoan and Aussies
Yep.
playing in the Rugby World Cup.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like guys that went to school in Brisbane and things like that. Like you've got to take these opportunities to play. I remember Milesy telling me when he was playing for the Warriors that they asked him to play for the Maoris side, like basically the New Zealand second side,
Yep.
and he turned it down because he said, and he played for the USA a few years later. He goes, "You play for the USA, it's not like a rugby league stronghold like New Zealand." He goes, "If I fucked up that haka, it wouldn't matter if I scored 4 tries in a game, we won by 2 points. They'd never forgive you."
Yeah.
You know,
Someone's
that
taking your
sort of
head
thing.
off.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you want tradition. Like one of our mates, Nate Gladden, he runs a podcast, Rugby League in America. He's in the military over there, and he's always reporting on NRL stuff. He's got me and Freddie on at different times on his podcast.
yeah.
He
does.
gets some
He
great
does a
goss.
very good. Like you're just saying, how like things need to be pushed in like either like South London.
Yep.
He does a great job of trying to push it over there, but because our committee over there is such fucking, they got their head up their own asses and they don't allow it to happen. You need someone like Nate Gladden who, off his own back, he just runs a podcast. He tries to push everything that he can in rugby league over in America, and you need people like that in charge. He doesn't care about a title like a director or something. He's just doing it because he loves the game. Full American. The only reason he loves rugby league is one time he was sitting in a bar and he watched a rugby league game. He goes, "This is the best sport I've ever seen." And
That's
yeah.
what it's about. It's exposing it to a
and
wider
they see that,
audience.
have you noticed that now still on Facey and that you see that we're getting more exposure through what's happening in the world because there are NRL games being shown in North America
Yeah.
and in England and so forth. Those games that wouldn't normally be shown, there might be 3 games a week, which is 3 more than was before. Now people are actually getting to know some team names and that. And we're starting to spread our brand, and I think that's one thing we have to look at doing. We have to look after grassroots, more so like country footy, and we have to look at expanding our brand throughout the globe slowly. You know what I mean?
That could also come from blokes like Nate doing what they do. Shout out to Nate again. What he does is just week in, week out, grinds, puts in just for no apparent gain.
Yeah.
And also things like this, like we've got to give ourselves a bit of a pat on the back. We do a pretty decent thing. All we do is sit here, drink beers and talk footy, but that's something like people who might not...
We're real
usually-
role models for the world doing that.
Yeah, I wouldn't call us role models. but,
I record you guys talking footy and then I publish it. I
Yeah,
listen
but
to you
the
cunts.
more we can talk about footy and the more we can fucking get it out there, the better it's going to be. And as Roddy's saying, especially with footy now being a bit more accessible because it's the only thing on fucking TV.
Yeah.
It can only pay dividends. Like some of the games, the first game back, Bronx Para was one of the highest viewed regular season games of all time. So
Yeah.
it just shows the amount of people that are getting into the game, watching the game is just going up, which can only benefit everyone.
Oh, that's
At the end
right.
of the day, and we all love our footy. So
So we got. So I'll just finish off with questions here. So Ross Brownlee,
Brownlee, yeah, used to work with me, Roscoe.
that you know him, righty?
Yeah, he's a mate. We used to work together.
Okay. So he goes, why did your parents name you Steele?
Fair enough.
Yeah, pretty easy one. That so Mum was round at a friend's place
Yeah.
and sitting out the back just having a cup of tea, and the next door neighbour to them yelled out, "Hey Steele, time to come in now. little fella run, jumped the fence through there and over the other fence.
Yeah.
She thought it was a pretty cool name, and
Yeah.
and that's it, mate.
Yeah,
Nothing serious behind it. There's a few of us around now. You've got Steele side bottom plays for Collingwood.
Yep.
There's a horse trainer, Steele Ryan.
Yeah.
Steele Rudd, the famous poet, who's got a pub named after him
Yep.
between Toowoomba and Warwick. Few around now.
Did you know who he was?
Famous
the poet?
Yeah, the poet. For
That's
sure.
good. I'm
Yeah.
I'm impressed.
proud of him.
I'm actually impressed.
The only reason I knew about poets is because last time I was at Confra, one of the big poets in Australia he was like the guest of Confra.
Oh, nice.
And he did
Okay,
his
fair
thing.
enough.
I'm like, forget his name. He was a younger bloke, and I didn't know that. Like it was like stand up comedy, but it was poetry, and he read it out, and it was
Not
awesome.
Root McCall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rupert
I think that's-
McCall.
yeah,
He's
Rupert-
got-
yeah.
He's the best.
He's a
100%.
gun, mate.
And that's why I've heard of
He's
that other
big
name
Red
as
Cliff
well.
supporter.
Yeah.
Massive ready
Yeah.
boy.
And he's used to play rugby for Brothers
Yeah.
Rugby. They're his two main passions.
Passions,
in
yeah.
footy,
And talking about Confra, you're a Mount Maria boy, eh, still?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And so with there was one division when you were playing? Was it just one?
No, it was one
Okay.
comp in 80. That was long ago, mate.
And did-
88. That was.
Were you in the team of that year? Did you make
Yeah,
like the
yeah,
selected
yeah,
team?
on
of that
Queensland
year?
team,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, nice.
Who else?
Yeah.
Do you remember anybody else who was in that team of the carnival?
Mate, I think Julian O'Neill.
Oh, from St Brendan's.
Yep.
Yes, I think
Would
it
have
was.
been in
'cause
it.
I looked. Yeah.
I think Paul Tideman made it.
Oh,
Big
Tideman,
Tidy.
who was at the Crushers.
Crushers, yeah, and Newcastle. A guy called Victor Timms. Victor was, I'm sure Victor
Was
was
he
a
at the
Mount
Broncos?
Isa boy. Yeah, he was at the Bronx. I'm sure he made it that year. Oh, and that's about it.
Yeah.
The memory's not too good, righty.
So
Too
that's
many,
rough.
Yeah,
too many heads in the scrum,
Yeah,
mate.
few
I get a little
few
bit,
lemonades.
No,
Question we
because they put out we had the anniversary book of Confra this year.
You,
And
you could name some pretty good.
Yeah, went
sides.
through
Yeah,
and
there's been-
Steely's
there's been
in
some
it,
good ones.
and I was
Yeah.
going through it, and I was telling Steely before he's in it, and it showed the amount of players that come out of conference. You always think about the state schools, but man, those Catholic the
conference,
confraternity,
yeah.
it's crazy.
Actually, when you get some nice little things that happen in your career, and I was in England, and I got a phone call. Tony Ray's dad, John, was must have been on the board or something for conference. He said, "Just ring and let you know you've made the 20-year anniversary conference team."
Yeah.
So they made these special jerseys up, and
So
thinking
sick.
about that,
nice.
I've got to check where that is. I got stuff in storage everywhere, obviously from travelling around, but they're always nice, those little things, a
Yeah.
little bit of recognition.
Oh,
whether-
100%.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, because I'm working Mount Maria now, and not last year. Oh no, it was last year. Sporting Awards. Cranky. He played a few games for Queensland Reds, and he's vice principal up there.
Yep.
And Michael Crank, and he goes, Freedy, can we get what kind of guest can we get for our Sporting Awards? And I was like, look, I can talk to Yao Yi, and I can probably talk to Jackie Reed. I'll ask them if they can come present awards. And he goes, what if worst comes to worst? Can you do it? And I was like, I go, bro, I can do it, but that's not that exciting for the kids. They don't watch you.
They would have whooped it up, mate, wouldn't they?
They
You
don't.
jumped up.
Yeah, but anyway, didn't get Yao Yi, didn't get Reedy. They couldn't do it at the time. So Cranks gets me up, stitches me up before I walk out to do the talk and the presentation. He's just got Jared Hayne just palming me off over and over
On
again.
repeat.
On repeat, mate. Yeah. Yeah.
Quality
Oh,
stitch up.
that's
Yeah.
good.
So
That's real good. Why haven't I
it,
heard
it
that
was
before?
pretty
That is
good. Yeah. It wasn't good for after that because the kids all in the playground just bagged me.
Yeah. I gotta say that I was watching a shots video with the old girl. The old girl loves their footy. We had the shots video on the telly, and it was big hits, boom, boom. We're watching reactions from Americans watching shots videos, and they're like, oh, well, they don't even have pads on, blah, blah. And there was one, and even Mum went, oh, and I was like, oh, rewind. And it's Freedy getting trammed. And I was like, oh, God, it's Freedy. She's like, what? I was like, quick, pause it. And paused it. And it came out with your face like this. I've made it to the podcast. He said, oh my God, it's reading.
Oh, fucking Jared
I was like,
Hayne,
you
get
got
an engine
lifted.
coat.
Was that-
Get up, grow a heart, motherfucker.
Yeah. Well, look at it now. Are you going better than he is now? Okay.
Where's Jared Hayne now?
Yeah, I know.
Yes.
He's
He
not
doesn't
on
have a podcast.
He's not on a podcast
Yeah.
sponsored by Bricklayer.
You're
That's
still,
what he's not.
you're still playing somewhere.
Yeah,
He's
that's
not.
right. So-
Steele, a question we... Oh, sorry to cut you off.
No,
please.
you go, David.
A question we asked most of our guests. We got best and worst coach.
Yep.
That one separates the men from the boys. We haven't had many people say their worst. But also, the player you love playing with the most, like your favorite teammate.
Yep. Best coach. Only had him for the 2 years, but Wayne Bennett.
Yeah.
Definitely. Hands and heels there.
We're still with that. As a because I kind of separate coaches into coaches of men and coaches of players.
Yeah.
Did Bennett kind of cover both?
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Yeah. And that's what the good ones do.
Yeah.
There's all that talk, and it's true. You got to know who you can bollock,
Yep.
give a bollocking to at half time, and it's going to go out and do the job. And if you do that to another bloke, he's going to shit himself and go to water.
That's what
and
Miles
just
is-
he'll just switch off.
Yeah.
And that's
That's
exactly
what
what Miles he
Milesy
said
said
in
last
his
week, yeah.
thing. And when I was listening to it, I'm just driving along going, "Yep, 100%."
Oh, yeah.
And that's why, with the likes of the Warriors, if you're going to get the best out of them, you've got to know what their personalities are.
knowing your
As a good
personnel.
coach, you got to you've got to spend time with those people and
Yeah.
around those people to know what they're like and how to get the best out of them.
Yeah.
Most of us in our career, we just get an absolute pellicking from the
Oh,
coach.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's
And then
been
you
some
go, okay,
earbloods.
right, I'll get out there and do it. But yeah, I've seen some blokes just absolutely go
Yeah.
Get
a
shouted.
shade of white, mate, and then they just go
Kick some
out there and you have to
stones.
give them a slap in the back of the head and go, mate, just cop it on the chin
Yeah.
and get the job done.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it. I can differentiate. I've got Costo.
Yep.
Okay, so one of the best coaches I've had as a player coach, and then Matty Elliott, such a good coach of a man. And they're so different
Yep.
to each other.
Polar
But I liked them both very much as coaches. But it's if you brought those two together, like you're saying, Wayne Benny must have
Yeah.
been such a fucking gun. Yeah.
I'm going to plead the fifth on worst coach.
Oh, yeah.
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 Oh yeah,
man.
and a lot of people do.
Can't do that.
Yeah.
There are a couple, but they shall not be named.
A lot of people stay simple, but
Oh, well. A lot of East blokes say that.
Did they?
Yeah.
I played with Sips, but never got coached by him. So
yeah. Well,
can't-
I've met
can't
him,
comment.
and he's great. I've met him. He's a good guy.
bloke.
Yeah.
He's a good bloke. And player, yeah. Look, I've mentioned him before. Jimmy Dimmick, just to me, he had everything. He just, just all the skills, mate. Just an out and out footballer,
Yeah.
great football brain, and that's why I really hope, and I hope in the next couple of years he gets a shot at coaching.
Yeah.
He's got to be unlucky, doesn't he?
He has.
At
He
the
has.
Bulldogs,
Right. Yep.
Cronulla, he
Yep.
had to have been
South
very
too,
close.
wasn't
As not on the not as a coach. He played there. He did many years ago. He's been in a few systems, and at the Sharks, he was
He
was
must have been close there.
Flanagan's
Must have been
right hand
close.
man. Like they were thick as thieves.
Well, then John Morris got it, and I'm just going.
Yeah.
And Morris had sort of, if you're the assistant coach, unless they're hiring someone outside the organisation, Morris had come from 20s to S&C, he was, then 20s, and came up through that, where Dimmick had a lot of experience. He was even caretaker coach might have been at Canterbury for a
Yeah, he
bit.
was there for a bit of Canterbury.
Yeah, like
Yep.
when they sacked, was it Des?
Yes.
When they got Hasler,
Yep.
when they got
Yep.
rid of Hasler and left him for that. Like, then it's funny how blokes get overlooked. Like the Broncos had their cut blokes, and they cut that Ben Cross. And I heard him speak on a podcast the other day, and he sounds like he's a very good player coach. He's pretty intelligent bloke. He's always trying to better himself, learn things from had some great mentors and things like that. You can just miss the boat.
Yeah.
You know, it's unfortunate. I think Kevin Walters become like that. He's a great Origin coach, and there's no doubt that I think he'd be a good fucking NRL coach. But you look at Meninga. Meninga's a great representative coach.
Figurehead.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because everyone.
Would he be able to do it week in, week
No,
out?
No.
yeah, and blokes couldn't handle that.
That's why I think also with Kearney, I think he's always got to be that assistant coach.
Yeah, fantastic assistant.
I
Neil
can't
Henry's the
see him
same.
being
Yeah.
that head. I'd throw on some more things at you still with the Bronx, right? So, what do you go? Is Broncos your team or?
Yeah, I still follow them.
Yeah. So me and Dano's Bronx.
Yeah.
Obviously Seagulls. They're complaining about some fucking forward pass, which was definitely forward. But they did.
Boy.
Did
you the bloke who sent me insulting messages?
Forward pass for sure. I actually believe it was so back.
Yeah.
But with the Bronx,
happens,
what's happening with the Bronx when they come out after like that second half? Do you watch that and think, and straight away go to like the reporters go, it's a fucking coaching issue? Or do you think that it's just like I was saying to Dano, I think there's a massive difference between giving up mentally and physically.
Yep.
And it's hard to turn that once you've given up mentally, even though your body's going through the motions doing that, it's hard to think that you're going to be able to perform. Like, what do you think's happening there? Like, especially in that last one, because everyone jumps on. Broncos fans, I think, are the worst in the league.
Oh,
because
yes.
they've had so much success.
Yeah.
There's
So-
expectations here all the time.
They're a glamour club,
Yeah.
and they've
Yeah.
underperformed since 2006.
So, like, what do you see happening there?
I really got a question. I know Siebes. We played together at London. I know him. He's a great man. I think he's doing a good job, but he's going to have to start taking some different measures. Hey, that side that he started with, I don't agree.
No,
why? You got all these young kids, mate. You should have started with your most. Why Lodge didn't start and Offrey and Galway didn't start is beyond me.
Yeah.
You've got to go in with your most experienced. They're at a stage now with suspensions and injuries that they've got to field some young blokes, but bring them in slowly, mate.
Yeah.
And he's gone and done it now. He's brought Oates into the back row.
Yeah, they could
and stiffened it up a little bit.
I could tell. I kind of thought I could tell Oates is going nearly the way that he's performing. He's going, "Fuck you! I don't want to be a winger anymore. I want to be
end up
there."
in the back row
yeah.
for the.
I just
for the
feel
remainder
like
of
I
his
feel like I've said it to a few people this weekend. I feel like there can be problems with coaches when you look at a side that underperforms with a good team. Then you start looking at coaching problems. Like if you've got a bad side that underperforms, you can't really blame. Like the Titans have Justin Holbrook as a coach, good coach, won comps in the
UK.
in the UK, and his side just isn't quite there yet. And they're getting better. They beat the Tigers tonight, but a side like the Bronx is sort of bit like a decent coach, decent side. But when Seabold has someone like Jermaine Asako, who's been a career outside back, come in to the middle, he was defending in the middle on Thursday night. It makes you think, like, there's obviously problems in the playing group, obviously. But there's also the coaching decision to bring a rookie to fullback and then expect him to play fullback in defence and hooker in attack. How is you supposed to get a rookie to do that? And then you bring a winger to full. He's your starting fullback, and then you push him into the middle to defend.
Yeah,
there's just too much going on, and you're talking debutants and non-experienced players trying to do this stuff.
And it's a big thing. Like, because I was talking to Cantoni about it this Avi, and I said, "Look, mate, I know it's totally different, and Australia would have shut off, but like." In that 2013 when we played Australia, right? We're playing one of the best Australian teams like that for a while. They beat us 58-0, okay, against a bunch of Queensland Cup, New South Wales Cup players.
Yep.
Then you've got two NRL teams and one beats one 59-0. You know, that shouldn't happen in NRL, you know, like that's, and I think that's a it's got to be the mindset thing.
You're talking, you got a lot of young kids in there.
Yeah.
And you got a lot of young kids with a lot of weight on their shoulders, like Haas, a 20-year-old, he shouldn't be having the burden of the side that he is. I reckon half the time they're thrown in the pill expecting him to, poke his head out the side every time, and it ain't going to happen.
Yeah.
You look at when he plays his best when he's got those other guys around there doing their jobs, as I said earlier, and punching forward, and then he plays off the back of that, gets quick play of the balls. And I don't know about you guys, but the last couple of weeks when I watch it, there's just no speed of the line.
No.
Parramatta were flying up off the line, and you know what?
Some of them are.
I know we got belted in the penalties, and it was 6 again. We had all these sets in our own half, but mate, you've got to test the referee.
Yeah.
And if you ain't, mate, some of the higher shots back, mate, they were back 6 meters.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
And flying up. And
Because the rest
and then the Roosters were
concentrating
doing-
on that.
And the
on
Roosters'
ruck.
speed of the line.
Yeah.
Their speed of the line was good. We seemed to go up 3 meters and just hold and wait.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's
And you ain't going to dominate anyone, and they're going to get momentum on us all the time.
I think it's also comes to a bit of a fatigue factor, especially when you got blokes that haven't played much first grade. Like you've got 2 back rowers who played 4 games each, trying to play 80 minutes, and they're never ever going to have the ability to play at high level for that long, especially in today's game where it's a lot faster. You got 2 blokes haven't done it before trying to sprint off the line 60 minutes in.
But
It's
now
just
that
not
we're
gonna happen.
2 weeks into it, do you guys enjoy the 6 again and the fast pace?
You got to get used to it.
You can see it's opening up score lines for sure.
Yeah.
Like
There's going to be different interpretations of it, and
Yeah.
Desi Hasler, I think, questioned it.
Yeah.
But it's, I like the one referee.
yeah,
You gotta
I
get
hope they don't
used
get
to
back
it.
to 2.
okay.
I hope they stick with 1.
Last
Yeah.
week, Canberra beat Melbourne, and people were putting up, give them the trophy now. Today,
Lose
Newcastle handed it to them.
Oh, they flogged
same
them
sort
too.
of thing. Like, I worked them over on edges. Down, Curtis Scott really he struggled against Bradman Best,
Yeah.
things like that.
Just Clemens late offloads teared them apart. An
With
offload,
the
simple offload.
Broncos in those first 2 weeks, they seem to be like Steele was saying about with Haas. They set up to go to Fafita. So if Fafita's not
Yeah.
beating 5 blokes in a superhuman effort and going 50,
Yeah,
they lack something.
and it's
How long can that be their go-to play?
That's
with the
right.
Roosters, they're mentally strong as fuck, and everyone does it. You lose to Tedesco. That guy, I thought, that's
Yeah.
got to help play in the Broncos' hand. They throw Morris there. Those forwards,
Morris
Cordner,
does his
outstanding. Cordner just terrorised young Croft.
Yeah.
Everyone, Croft was tackling him, but then Cordner kept finding his front. They'd roll off that. They kept grinding him down. Young Collins coming off the bench, and when it's tough, Lodge and Tavita Pengai, when he's there, they just try and grub it up. Lodge was trying to fucking shoulder charge up the
Yeah.
blokes, trying to and Lodge, if you're gonna like Steele was saying, you got to start him. You want if he's gonna bring that sting, do it early.
Yep.
Him coming off the bench looking like a big fat custard ass because he hasn't done much preseason with his fuck knee.
yeah.
You're wasting him. You want him out there when it's tough early.
Because and it's funny because it's like this style. Like me and Dano are pretty much on the same page with. I didn't like seeing McCulloch go. I wanted McCulloch.
He was
there
good
for another
today
year,
too.
and he was good for Newcastle.
great
It's
for
kind of
Newcastle.
like with Hindmarsh. He would have played so many Queensland games. But for New South Wales, he didn't get selected a lot. Like, that's the style of player I look at, where it's just the grinder. McCulloch would make all the tackles, and that he wasn't too flashy, but he's always there. And I get pissed off at losing players like him, and then they spend so much money on players like Milford, who is a fantastic player,
On his
but we
day,
haven't
on his
seen
day.
it enough. Like.
Going back to your question about the rule changes and how we're liking it, I like the 6 again rule, and I think the game is getting a lot faster, and obviously the little man's coming to the game a bit more, and forwards are adapting. A bloke like Clemmer has never usually had an offload, is finding this form, which is bringing his little man to the game, which is great to see. But I just feel as if we need a second referee back, just because I think the one ref is too busy stinging his eyes at the ruck, looking for ruck infringements, to worry about the 10 metres.
But you got touchies for that. You got touchies to
but-
tip him
but-
into.
Yeah, but how often do they listen to the touchies?
They do. It's professional setup. It's
Yeah.
not park footy.
I know,
The
but they're
touchies
just-
are there, mate. They
just-
they
They
see
should be
it.
in. They should be in their ear.
They should be, but
They're referees. They're the next tier
if
of
you've
referees.
if you've watched the Roosters game since the rules came in, I can guarantee you,
I've watched plenty of
10
games in 2 weeks.
mate.
But also
Luke Keary and Warrior Hargreaves have not been onside once, and it's because the referee's staring at the ruck, trying to find an infringement. That Warrior Hargreaves on this side of him is up here, and Keary on the outside is up here.
That's how we used to do it.
Yeah,
mate. And that's what I'm
just
saying.
try
That's
and
what
get
I'm
to his
saying to you.
backside.
You've got to run with it. You've got to run with it. You've got to
Yeah.
push the envelope. You've got to
Yeah, you've
run
gotta
the
test
referee
the
to his head
referees,
and
yeah.
do
Yeah.
it. Everyone else is doing it.
Yeah.
They're getting away with it.
What was his name? Was it Carrigan or Flegler? One of them young blokes who got folded by Radley called Warrior Hargraves out, said how he's
Flegler.
not going to have his all right. We're going to put it on him, and he came out like a man on a mission. Warrior Hargraves. So when they were they were standing off on him like Steele was saying, little things like that. If you're going to make comments, you got to back it up.
Yep.
You
Yeah.
go out there and play well. No one gives a.
And I think that's also
one.
one of the problems with the Bronx. Yeah, a bloke who's played 20 NRL games. You're calling out Rhea Hargraves, who's been a premier front rower for a long time.
Yeah.
Pull your head in. You've done nothing yet. You might have had a handful
And
of good games, but this bloke has been doing it day in, day out for 10 years.
He made the mistake a few years ago of when they were playing the Cowboys in the semi to get into a grand final, calling out Tomalalo, and Tomalalo ran for 200 metres and they knocked the Roosters off. So sometimes you got to watch what you say, or if you're not, you got to back up. You got to put back things up.
So still, you reckon, like, as a Broncos supporter, we Seabolt, we stick with him, like we believe in what he's going to do, because obviously Wayne Bennett's come out and said, like, what's his name, his assistant coach down in Sydney, he should have been the one to take over Demetrio for the next 15 years.
He's a smart bloke.
But you like Seabolt as a coach?
Look, there's a few things I think they need to do. Look, unfortunately, I think Darius has had his time.
Yeah.
Mate, there's nothing there. There's nothing going on, mate.
Yeah.
He's making tackles, but they're very passive tackles. They're not a dominant tackle, and he just doesn't offer anything in attack.
Yeah.
And Milford, I think he needs to have a week or two off, mate, to think about what he's doing, because he's just not. He's good when the going's good, but he's not one who's going to dig in when it's tough.
And he's not a
something.
20-year-old kid anymore. You can't be you can't be having your Darren Lockyer to run. Like when he was with Ben Hunt kind of took that role of direction, and then Milford play off the back. But you don't have your Darren Lockyers to play to be the exciting one.
You look at today, like in the Newcastle game against the Raiders, when the Raiders made a comeback. Pierce dug in when it was tough. It was getting physical, kicking into corners, leading the chase, getting whacked as he was kicking it, things like that, where you want to be a big name half, you've got to be able to guide your side home, and you've got to be able to control the game when it counts. And you've got to... Milford is a flat track bully. When he's on the front foot and they've rolled on, he'll carve up sides with his pace and his footwork. Yeah. But you don't see that often... And he's on, what's he on, near $1 million a year?
Yeah. So, we got it. So we've been going for an hour and 20. Steele, before we wrap this up, Righty usually breaks us down, but now, how do you stay physical and stuff? Just gym or the
old body's starting to get a little bit creaky, so just trying to I probably train 5 days a week, sometimes 6.
I was asking Cantoni, do you do any wrestling or jiu-jitsu or anything?
No.
Oh,
no.
Okay. That's just
I reckon I'd snap. My shoulders are that bad that if someone tried to twist me the wrong way, I reckon I'd snap in half.
Yeah. So
that sort of stuff I wish I'd have done.
Yeah.
And all the CrossFit training.
Yeah.
I wish that was around when I was around, because I would have in pre-season I would have done a lot of that.
Yeah.
It's just the evolution of the athlete and what's accessible to them now.
Yeah.
It wasn't accessible back then, but I've been doing professionally, Queensland Cup since I was 19.
That's right. Yeah.
I got to do something to keep the old body moving.
Exactly.
I don't want to seize up. Don't want to seize up. I enjoy training too. It's good for the mental health, mate. Makes you feel good in the morning.
Yeah.
To go to work after
100%.
doing a workout or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So, we appreciate you coming on. And
thank you.
We appreciate fucking Brick Lane, for the sponsor. Jumping on board for a tiny little thing like this, and then Righty take us out, bro.
Thanks again to Steele and Brick Lane for everything they've done. We'll get you come down to Mitchie. We'll have some. I'm doing my best to see if we can get it stocked at Mitchie. We've got to ask the right people.
Well,
and ask the right questions.
I'd like for that live night that we do is just Brick Lane stocked.
Yeah,
that's what I reckon.
Yeah, we'll try and work something out. Yeah. We're going to do when everything's eased off and we can get a few people in there. Still, we're going to do a show from the West Mitchie Clubhouse. So we'll invite you along if you want to come along and have a few cans, ask a few questions.
That'd be great, mate.
And plug your products and stuff like that. Like Steele was saying before, all people in hospo industry, they've been massively struggling. There's restrictions are easing off. Everybody, if you like to spend time at the pub, you like a beer, you like a feed, go in there, spend a little bit of money. At the moment, you're restricted by how long you can be, but that'll only be a few more weeks, hopefully a month at the most. There'll be more people allowed in, get in the door, Even if I saw some pictures of people at the Ferny Grove Tav the other night. God bless you. That's probably one of your record
Have you been there
crowds
lately?
of six
He
people.
fucking hates it.
Make the Ferny Grove Tav great again, like the old days. Go back there, spend some money, help this poor place climb out of the sewage that lives in now, and be like other good pubs throughout the community. Footy's back. Keep supporting your team. We'll be back at Mitchie hopefully in the next 6 weeks or so. If you love your local footy, come down, support us. We'll be inviting anyone who wants to turn up to our night at Mitchie when we do a program from down there at the footy club. Thanks again to Steele for coming on. Don't be a mercenary, and we'll be back in a week.
Cheers,
Thanks, fellas.
boys. Thanks,
Thanks,
boys. Thank you.
Cheers.